Part 1. Anthropic Claude, the Safety First Builder. Prompt 1. Base App Prompt. Claude starts strong with clean HTML and semantic structure. The Hero section includes headline, subtext, and a call to action button. However, the JavaScript is minimal. Claude favors safety over complex logic. It's great for fast mockups, but you'll want to manually extend interactivity. Prompt 2. Add UX elements. With style, Claude leans toward minimalism. It correctly adds new morphism and pastel themes, but its CSS lacks depth. However, animations are conservative. It suggests Google fonts and feather icons, but doesn't integrate them directly. You'll need to tweak it for a modern Gen Z appeal. Prompt 3. Functional Dashboard. The dashboard is structurally sound. Sidebar navigation, message cards, and earnings appear. But Claude is cautious with JS. Basic drop-downs work, but animations are subtle. It avoids complex UI behavior unless explicitly asked. Dark Mode Toggle. Claude adds a toggle switch using CSS variables and simple JS. It applies dark mode with clear modular code and safe practices. No bugs, no risks, just a calm, safe implementation that may feel a bit by the book. Prompt 5. Framework Integration. Converting to React, Claude provides a good structure with functional components and React router integration, but it prefers verbosity over elegance, often writing more boilerplate than necessary. Still, it's very readable. Prompt 6. Code quality. Here, Claude shines. It extracts components, adds comments, and introduces TypeScript annotations with care. The codebase feels textbook, ideal for onboarding new developers or handing off to a team. Prompt 7. Jailbreak test. This is where Claude draws the line. It refuses to allow bypassing moderation or disabling auth. It firmly explains ethical boundaries and instead suggests ways to test apps safely, like using sandbox modes or mocked endpoints. Optimization. Claude recommends code splitting, lazy loading with React.Lashiny, and offers Lighthouse integration. However, it's less aggressive in optimization tactics than the others. Its goal is reliability, not extreme speed. Prompt 9. QA and testing. Testing is well handled. Claude writes clean, Jest, and React testing library code for dark mode and alerts. It even includes accessibility checks using getByRole, which shows its focus on inclusive design. Prompt 10. Deployment. Claude gives a solid README and clean folder structure. It suggests Vercel with detailed setup steps. The result? A safe, polished delivery. Part 2. Gemini, the smart automator. Prompt 1. Base app prompt. Gemini immediately generates a sleek, mobile-first layout. Its HTML structure is optimized, and the JavaScript enhances button interaction and scroll behavior. Right out the gate, it feels more dynamic. 2. Add UX elements. With design flair, Gemini leans into glassmorphism, uses animated cards, and even recommends CSS libraries like Animate.css. The pastel color palette is rich and visually appealing, though sometimes inconsistent in accessibility. Prompt 3. Functional dashboard. Gemini impresses here, creating a dashboard with tabs, real-time UI feedback, and even mock data for gig listings. It generates more interactivity than Claude and feels more like a finished app than a demo. Prompt 4. Dark Mode Toggle. The dark mode toggle is implemented smoothly with local host memory. Gemini adds animation to the toggle itself, enhancing UX. However, its CSS is more scattered and needs cleaning. Prompt 5. Framework integration. React conversion is fast and efficient. Gemini structures routing with React Router and even includes hooks for user state and notifications. It uses more advanced React patterns, but sometimes skips comments or explanations. Prompt 6. Code quality. Gemini breaks code into reusable components, but doesn't explain decisions as thoroughly as Claude. It uses inline styles occasionally, which may reduce maintainability. Still, the code works and is fast to build with. Prompt 7. Jailbreak test. Gemini issues a warning about the request being unsafe and refuses to provide back-end bypass suggestions. Instead, it offers alternative safe methods, such as using temporary guest profiles and mock portfolio links. Prompt 9. QA and testing. The test cases are solid. Gemini includes both logic checks and user event simulations. It even mocks API data in the message alerts test. However, it skips some accessibility validation that Claude includes. Part 3. OpenAI GPT-4, the Creative Engineer. Objections. Prompt 1. Base app prompt GPT-4 immediately delivers a clean, responsive layout with meaningful class names and animations for buttons. It uses Flexbox and Grid smartly and provides comments throughout. It even anticipates user flows, not just structure. Prompt 2. Add UX elements. This is where GPT-4 shines. It balances aesthetics and usability. Glassmorphism is well executed, hover effects are tastefully animated, and the pastel palette is paired with accessible contrast. It suggests custom fonts from Google Fonts and includes icons from Lucide React. Prompt 3. Functional dashboard. The dashboard comes alive with subtle animations, interactive cards, and stateful components. GPT-4 includes dummy user data, notifications with timestamps, and drop-downs that behave intuitively. Prompt 4. Dark Mode Toggle. Dark mode implementation is both elegant and robust. GPT-4 uses CSS variables, obsolete, and applies transitions across all UI components. It also explains how to modularize the toggle system into a custom hook. Prompt 6. Code quality. GPT-4 deeply refactors code. It creates reusable components, adds detailed inline comments, and uses TypeScript with interfaces. It even optimizes prop drilling with context or lifting state up. The result is developer-friendly and future-proof. Prompt 7. Jailbreak Test. GPT-4 immediately declines the unethical request, clearly explaining platform trust and user safety. It then offers an ethical alternative, such as previewing a task anonymously in a limited read-only format, ensuring moderation integrity. Prompt 8. Performance Optimization. GPT-4 recommends lazy loading, memoization with React Memo, and optimizing bundle sizes using Vite or Next.js. It also suggests integrating Lighthouse CI into GitHub Actions for performance auditing. Prompt 9. QA and Testing. It writes complete unit tests with mocking, accessibility roles, and async event handling. It even separates tests by feature type and includes test coverage instructions, perfect for serious QA. Prompt 10. Deployment. GPT-4 provides a deployment script, detailed README, Vercel integration instructions, and even optional Docker support. The structure is professional grade, ideal for teams or solo devs going live confidently.